What is up, guys? We are back for episode 3 of Magical Revolution, and I'm so excited. Like, this is one of those shows that's turned into one of the... I sit here every day going, wait, when's the next episode? No, the next episode's that day. Crap, I have to wait another day. I love it. I still love this series, and I really appreciate this episode because it kind of breaks a lot of the norms that you typically have in storytelling. And most shows, things like what happened in episode 2 would kind of be the resolve for now with the whole situation with Euphilia, but it really is, unlike those shows, really sticking with Euphilia. Like, she's still stuck in the whole situation with the prince, and it's got this really nice contrast in this episode with what's happening with Anisfia, where every scene that we see her, she's having fun, she's doing things, she's experimenting, she's doing her normal stuff. And again, there's a heart in it, in the idea that she wants to make this thing for Euphilia. Like, she wants to give her a gift as she comes there. And at the same time, contrasting that is Euphilia still dealing with this bad situation. And it all kind of comes to a head in the final part of the episode, and I still don't think it's over with, is this idea that you have this breakdown of Euphilia. I wish I was like you, because you're moving forward, you're free, and I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck in this thing. Even though her father literally says, you've done enough, you've done everything, move on. And the king is, saying that he's going to handle things, and he's even saying you can keep the key. Euphilia's still stuck in all this crap that happened to her, and it's still a part of her. And so, like I said, really cool contrast between the freedom and still being locked down on something, even though she's technically sort of broken away from it. But yes, great episode, really fantastic, really good insights into Euphilia, what she's dealing with. Yes, Ilya and what she has to deal with. And yes, a little bit more insight into what's going on with this whole thing with Algard. We'll get into that. But no, opening up this episode was fantastic. Of course, we have this whole situation with Euphilia. She is now moving over to the villa. Eventually, she shows this key, which we find out later what that is, the library key. But like I said earlier, this little brief moment where you see Anisfia is run off with her broom, and she sets off this alarm that she's made for this place. And I like how casually Ilya goes to the window, opens it up, and turns off the alarm. Like, this is a normal thing. But no, she crashes her broom, and Euphilia comes out, and she mentions the fact that, yes, she's creating her something. She's got something that she wants to make for her. But then we have this little cute moment where they start to test things. This is exactly what they were supposed to do. Euphilia would test out things that Anisfia is making, and then again, present it to the people and take the credit for it. So they test out the mana blade, which, yes, Euphilia just, uses it really, really casually. And eventually, yes, try out the broom, which was really cute, because it's she's afraid of using the broom, but she's like, it's okay, I'll hold on to it, don't worry, I got it. And she's like, are you telling the truth? Yes, because royalty never lies. And then she immediately lifts up her hands and Euphilia takes off. But it was cute because this is the brief moment throughout the entire episodes where you have Euphilia, it infects her. She gets infected by what Anisfia is doing and the positivity and the freedom, because she starts giggling. Even though she crashed and she gets angry, she starts giggling. But then she corrects herself because she's still stuck in this previous mind. She's still stuck on the idea that Anisfia is this princess and that Euphilia is just a nothing right now. So despite the fact that she briefly connected with Anisfia, she slips back in her normal way. She starts to act polite again. She talks with formality. And that's what she gets into when she talks to Lilia later while she's cleaning her up, asking if Anisfia was always like that. Yeah, she's always like that. Well, actually, she was more reckless before. And then she says, she's somewhere where I can't reach. Again, she is this thing that I can't be. I can't have freedom. I can't have fun. Anisfia is able to do this and I can't. But yes, that's when we get back into Algard, because we're not done with that whole situation. I got quite a bit of comments from people in my first impressions about Algard. And I understand it. I truly do. To kind of recap on that stuff and really get into it, yes, Algard framing Euphilia, saying that she did all this stuff, this assassination attempt on this girl. And yes, I understand that Algard is not going to be a simple Otome character. So that probably came across wrong in my previous video. There was pretty obvious signs that Algard didn't like the fact that Anisfia gave up the throne, and she marched off and had fun, and now he's stuck being the prince. And yes, because he's the prince, his father, the king, is going to present him with his wife. He doesn't get to choose. It sucks. But again, that's royalty. That's a normality there. And again, I agree that it sucks. The problem that I had, was that in spite of all that stuff, he publicly humiliated and death sentenced a girl. That was my problem. Now, yes, you can argue, and they technically argue it in this episode. Euphilia says when he said what he said it with conviction. He said it in a way that was driven by righteousness. He wasn't saying it casually. And they all kind of note this idea, yeah, it doesn't seem like this is something that was driven by malice or by just being maddened by love. He seemed like he was dead set that happened. But again, the problem is you don't do it publicly in front of a bunch of people. And I think that's what the king is basically saying. I have the testimony here and stuff, but that should have been talked about in private. We should have figured this out before he went out in public and completely destroyed her life. That's how you do things. You don't go in front of a bunch of kids who are graduating and say, look what she did. You go to the king. You go to the officials. That's where you talk about assassination plots. You don't, as a bunch of boys, go, we got it. Here's the Scooby-Doo team coming in here to take out this girl. That's not how you do things. That's why he's an idiot. That's why he's stupid. But no. Again, I understand that there's going to be a lot of stuff behind Algard. Based on this episode, I'm already seeing that it's probably an aspect of either they have been, some sort of magic has brainwashed them, because it's not just Algard. It's Algard and the rest of these sons of these very powerful people. They all came together to go against her. I don't necessarily think it's just because this Liani girl said this happened that they all went, oh, well, yeah, it could be. Which, if that's the case, that's going to be super weak writing. But I don't think this writer is that way. All I can think of is it's probably going to be some sort of brainwashing thing. Or Algard with the other prince is trying to take down the current system. That's my other guess. But yes, as Euphilia comes in here, you have the king, and he's still talking with Euphilia's father, and they're going over this testimony that Algard gave them. And they're frustrated because they have Algard kind of locked up in his room, but at the same time, they don't know what to do because you have all these other boys that are involved with the situation that are part of other powerful people. And they can't just go around and just strong-arm them all. But the problem still remains that him as a king, he's supposed to assign Algard a wife. And he's kind of breaking the system. He's got his own path that he's taking that is against what his father wants, what the king wants, what the royalty wants. But yes, Euphilia comes in, they question her. She's like, yeah, all I did was gave her advice one time. It's all I've done. But again, also told them the fact that they look like they had conviction. Like this was something that they thought was absolutely true. But yes, it kind of ends emotionally with the idea that she comes forward with the key. Here's the key to the forbidden library. They're like, no, you can keep that. It's like, no, I was using it to train as to be a queen. I'm not that anymore, so I'm giving it back. And yes, compounding on this aspect of her feeling defeated. Look, he never loved me to begin with. And everything involved with it is just dried up. Like she's realized this point, she's defeated. There's no there's no point in it. She's failed. And yes, her father, as usual, not being good at really talking to her. You did plenty. You're good. Your role is done. The king's like, dude, you gotta learn how to talk to your daughter. He's like, oh yeah, being father is difficult. He's got some learning to do. Which makes me really think how much they're really kind of hitting on how Gantz, her father, is so terrible at talking to her that he's gonna do something really incredible soon. Like, I just really feel like he needs a redemption. And I feel like they're trying to build him up to redemption. But now at this point, she decides that, well, I'm gonna go back out here. I'm gonna go say hi to everybody that took care of me. Pretty much going out and saying her goodbyes. She's no longer going to be a part of this royal palace area where she would be as a queen. So she goes out there to pretty much say goodbye to all the maids that took care of her for so long. And yes, having to see the dress that she was going to wear at the wedding. And the old maid that pretty much comforts her. But it is kind of nice in this scene because it really does seem like, okay, here's this thing. Here's this object. It's a symbol of what I was going to become, the bride. And they took this long time to form and build it. They had to basically form fit this dress. It's a perfectly form fit dress. And they were still working on it. But now it's pointless. Now it's no longer needed. Now I'd argue, and I was wondering if somebody was going to say it. I thought Elia was going to say it, to be honest. But you're probably still going to wear it. You're probably still going to wear it. But no, it ends up kind of turning this thing where there's this object. Here's the thing that I've been forming to for so long. And they're talking about the fact that, oh, you lost a little weight, but it'll still fit you. I almost feel like that's a comment to it. That because the older maid says you've lost weight, but it still fits you, is the idea that, yes, you've you've run into a roadblock, but you can still wear it. I don't know, I might be overthinking that, but it really did feel like that statement was really saying, Ilya, you still have a bride. You still have a bride. You're still technically going to wear this. But no, the conversation kind of gets derailed in the idea that Ilya comes in and talks about how Anisvia is completely different. She eats things all the time. She gets her dresses dirty. I have to keep fixing them and all this kind of stuff. She doesn't like to wear corsets, all this kind of stuff. She's super troublesome. But she says something really good in the idea of, Euphilia, you're free now. Just like her, she's so free, you're free now too. And then they have that symbolism of cutting the thread. The girl over there, like everybody leaves, and then for some reason, I guess this one girl stayed, or she came back just to cut this one string to show that freedom. The strings that have been binding her down has been cut. It was a really good scene because, like I said, you could technically take a lot of symbolisms out of it. Yes, Euphilia goes back to the villa, and that's where we see Anisvia come in some like engineer outfit, like the overalls and stuff. And she's finally finished Euphilia's new item, her new magic special tool. Again, despite the fact that it seems like Anisvia is just running around having fun, she was actually creating something for Euphilia. An alloy containing spirit stones, something that's able to be a conductor for mana. And immediately when Euphilia pulls it, she says it's a part of her. Like she designed something that feels like it's just perfect for her. Which, yes, plays into what Anisvia named it, which is Rainbow. Something that she feels is perfect for Euphilia. Something that's beautiful, and just like the fact that Euphilia can handle all these spirits and all these elements, she's able to control all that, all the colors of all those elements. Which I think in the wake of everything that happens in this episode, all this crap that Euphilia is going through, and the fact that Anisvia is over here having fun, that one moment they finally come together, and Anisvia gives her something special, something that she worked really hard on, that she believes is perfect for her. It's that final moment where she says, welcome, this is your new home. Here's the start, here's the first thing, here's the start of our new future. And yes, as she's passing out, she says that it's just like her. It's perfect for her. It's pretty. And how unfair it is that you're so pretty. And then rests her head on Euphilia's lap, which, yeah, that was pretty emotional. Euphilia kind of getting mad. Like, again, this is, what, 2 episodes now where we have that back and forth between the two of them. They both envy each other. Anisvia envies how beautiful Euphilia is. Because, I mean, we had that with this. It was like when she first pulls a sword and it's water and it's splashing. Anisvia's like, she's so beautiful. Like, she's so pretty. I wish I was that pretty. And yes, when she rests her head on her lap, she's like, I'm envious of you. You're so free. I wish I could be like you. And again, it's that whole aspect of Euphilia technically is in a position of being free now. She's just not able to accept it quite yet, but it's enough to make her emotional to the point where she's crying. I want to be like Anisvia. And I'm curious if that's the direction they're going to take this whole thing. Is it that Euphilia has to accept that this is her new life? Or is it that she's going to be constantly pulled away from it? This episode is sort of both. Physically, yes, the king is questioning her about the situation with Algard, and it's not resolved. But mentally, it's Euphilia constantly stopping herself and becoming formal again. Anyways, fantastic episode. I think I covered everything. I'm going to love that this show continues to be like this, where there's the little things in there that are subtle that you can technically dive into. Struggles that aren't easily fixed, I think. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 3 of Magical Revolution. It's gonna suck waiting another week for another episode, but anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, super thanks, and a membership button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Special thanks to Martin H, who recently became a patron, and y'all take care.